Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Zodiac Bandit, and today I'm going to be recapping episode 58 of Campaign 3 of Critical Role. We learned a ton in this episode. This episode had some really good fights as well. I really enjoyed a lot of the fights in this one. And in my opinion, we got count them, two of the best jokes ever in Critical Role, in my opinion. And they're back to back. Some of you already know what I'm talking about. But this was a great episode, had some great fights, and in my opinion, literally two of the best jokes ever in Critical Role. So if you haven't seen it yet, go watch it before you watch this recap because the jokes are amazing. We start in the Guild Hollow Tower. A strange amorphous creature lands before the party. Roll initiative. Frida rolls a 27, Chetney a 22, FCG a natural 20 but still goes third, Imogen a dirty 20, Deanna a 15, and Fern a 6. Frida is first. At the top of their turn, they take 7 damage. They move away from the monster. They then shoot, hitting it twice, dealing 40 damage. I don't know why I took track of damage this time. I didn't put a total down at the bottom, but I kept track, so you're welcome. As Frida hits, they look for some sort of core within the monster. They roll a 17 perception check and don't see a core. It's just all the way through the same sort of substance. Chetney is up and uses a blood curse on the creature, or on the monster. Then hits the monster with Turmoil twice, dealing 34 damage. The monster uses a legendary action to attack Chetney for 19 damage. FCG bonds with everybody except for Fern, and then moves around Deanna. Bonus action, they cast Spiritual Weapon, making it look like a towel, because moist monsters hate towels and dry things. The weapon misses. Imogen is up. She wants to spread out around the creature. She telekinetically pushes Fern 5 feet away from her, and then tries to jump over the gap where the stairs are. Unfortunately, Frida moves, causing Imogen to miss the leg that she was going to bounce off of, and she ends up falling down the stairs. As she falls down the stairs, she casts Lightning Bolt, which the monster uses a legendary resistance on, so it only deals 7 damage, and she falls down the stairs a little bit. At this point, everyone takes damage that Matt forgot to deal to them at the beginning of their turns for being within 5 feet of the creature. The monster attacks FCG, dealing 21 damage. Then the monster turns and attacks Fern for 25 damage. FCG halves that damage. It then grapples Fern, and then it misses its second attack on FCG. The monster takes 3 necrotic damage from Chetney's curse. The monster then moves and blocks the staircase, blocking Imogen from the rest of the party. Deanna hits an opportunity attack of Inflict Wounds for 15 damage. It's now Deanna's turn. She guiding bolts the monster for 19 damage, and the next person to try to hit it has advantage. Deanna moves away from FCG. The monster then consumes Fern as a legendary action for 54 fucking damage on a crit, because it's insane. This knocks out Fern before her first turn. It's Fern's turn. Death saving throw. She rolls a 9. She has 1 death save now. 1 failed death save. They're on a massive time limit to save her, as the next turn this monster takes will kill her. So yeah, Frida is up. Frida tries to grab Fern. Frida reaches in and hurts a little bit while reaching inside, taking 2 damage, but grabs a hold of Fern and pulls her out, and then casts Spare the Dying on her. They then action surge and attack, dealing 19 damage. Frida then body blocks for Fern. The monster uses a legendary action to attack Frida, but misses. Chetney is up. Chetney runs up to Fern and turns Fern invisible. Chetney then moves back, but gets hit by a tentacle or one of the parts of this monster on the exit for 26 damage. FCG is up. They won't heal Fern, as that's Deanna's thing. FCG attacks with a shot from their bolt, but misses. They then move away from the fire that was started by the lightning Imogen struck out earlier. Spiritual Weapon then attacks and misses again. This is not FCG's day. FCG then takes 12 damage from the halved thing they did earlier for Fern. They also take 2 psychic damage from the start of their turn. Imogen is up and she sees the lower half of the monster from the bottom of the stairs. She casts Inflict Wounds on it but misses. Out of frustration, Imogen pulls the monster down the stairs a little bit, then moves out of the range of the monster just in case. It's the monster's turn. A slit on the monster opens up, and a mouth appears, a toothless mouth. It then expels black mist, the same black mist from the cracks outside the tower. Frida, Fern, Chetney, and FCG all make con saves. Chetney saves, taking 6. FCG saves, taking 6. Frida saves, taking 6. Fern fails, taking 12 damage, but this is just one death save, meaning she has 2 death saves, or 2 death fails now. Jesus fucking Christ, she's gonna die. The monster then moves down the stairs. Frida misses the opportunity attack. Deanna is up. She uses her channel divinity to preserve life and heals half of Fern's health back. Thank God she's still alive. Deanna casts spiritual weapon and makes some sort of cup. I think they kept saying Diva Cup. I have no idea what the hell that is, and I'm not going to look it up. Fern is up. Oh, the spiritual weapon misses. Fern is then up, and she casts Blight on the monster, but it uses a legendary resistance, so it deals only 22 damage. Fern stands up and moves toward the circle on the wall from the last episode. The monster uses a legendary action to attack Frida for 12 damage. The fire that Imogen started earlier from the lightning bolt begins to spread. Frida is up. They walk to the fire and light one of their crossbow bolts on fire, shoot at the monster and miss. They do it again. They shoot at the monster, this time doing 21 damage. The fire seemed to help a bit more for the damage. They then healing word FCG for 7. They then move away from the fire because it's a little too hot. Chetney is up and attacks the monster with Shatter. It doesn't make the save and deals 22 damage. He then moves toward Fern just in case. FCG is up. They try to read the intention of the monster to see if it's trying to either move up, down the stairs, or just block the stairs. And reads that it's trying to block the party from Imogen. FCG gives a bonded blessing to Frida. FCG tries to saw attack the monster but misses again. The monster then legendary action attacks FCG and does 25 damage. Imogen is up. She uses Psychic Lance on the monster for 10 damage. She then telekinetically pulls the monster down the stairs more, opening up the stairs for everyone else. The monster is up, and it moves down the stairs and attacks Imogen for 29 and grapples her. Deanna is up, and she casts Death Ward on Chetney, and then moves a spiritual weapon to attack. The weapon hits, dealing 9 damage. Deanna moves toward the stairs. The monster consumes Imogen for 24 damage, as this time it wasn't a crit. That would have been 48 damage. That would have been nasty if it was a crit. Fern is up. She moves down the steps and tries to hit with Burning Hands. It is just within the range of Burning Hands, and she deals 22 damage to the monster, killing it. The tree on the second floor is still on fire, and the fire is spreading. Frida shoots a guiding bolt into the circle on the wall to make it glow a little bit to see what it will do. Doesn't do anything. FCG casts command on the circle and says open, and it glows, and a small hole on the wall is made. There is a leather satchel inside. The party look about the place to see if there's anything else. It's hard to find anything of importance before the flames spread too far in the room. Frida is certain there's more here and continues to look inside the fire, same as Chetney. They can't find anything in the chaos as the fire spreads. The party decide the satchel is what they came here for and start to head out. Frida and Chetney are the last to leave the room as they are waiting till the last second to see if there's anything else they can find. With a 23 on perception or investigation, Chetney looks over the room and is certain there's nothing else. They hear cracking from down below on the first floor of this building. They look at the monster they had just killed, and an arm emerges from the monster, or from the monster's corpse. A smaller and humanoid figure starts to come from it. It has hooked hands, no eyes, and a moss crown on its head. Imogen uses telekinesis to pick it up into the air. She picks it up successfully and tells everyone to get out. FCG casts Aura of Vitality and heals Imogen a bit. Everyone begins to dip out of the tower. It's dark. They can see the mist of the area, and inside the mist are blue glowing forms below, mostly ghosts. Imogen tries to push whatever this creature is up the stairs into the burning room, and is able to push it up and hears screams as it is sent up into the room. Imogen then flees. The top of the tower is giving off some light as it is being set on fire, and the area surrounding it as well. FCG looks for the Wolf King, but doesn't see it. Frida looks and sees that it's not anywhere nearby. Deanna heals Imogen. Fern casts Pass Without a Trace. The party hear the monster moving behind them. FCG casts Stone Shape to block the tower window they used to get out, and just as the wall finishes, it slams into it. Deanna changes her mind and heals everyone instead of instead of just healing Imogen. The party start to stealth away from the tower. Stealth checks. As they move, FCG heals the party. There's a natural 1 from Frida for the stealth check, causing them to fall from the tower, and it creates a loud crack sound. Afterwards, they hear a loud howl, and the wall above them is being smashed still. The party talk about where to go as they have a little bit of time now. Frida says Imogen can cast fly on them, and they can cause a distraction. The party don't like this idea as there's a flying monster around. Imogen turns invisible. The howling gets closer. The wall is getting smashed up by the monster up top. The party choose to run into the woods as it is the closest thing to them. FCG casts light. The party reaches a 15-foot tall wall, and there are broken parts to it, so they try to use that to climb out. Athletics check all around. This does not go well. It takes a long time for them to get over. They can hear and see the shape of the Wolf King behind them as they reach the top of it. However, they now are in the thick bush of the Savalier Wood. Imogen leads the party, and she rolls a natural 20 on survival with a 26 total. Imogen guides the party through the woods with her telekinetic powers, or telepathic powers. It's not an easy walk as they go through, so they take 6 damage each, but they are making progress. Behind them, they still hear the howling of the Wolf King, but it doesn't seem to get any closer. After 40 minutes of traveling, the howling stops, and they are surrounded by the mist and the trees of the Savalier Wood. They are now outside the city of Malaismere to the north, inside the Savalier Wood. They check on each other. They all seem fine. FGG says they are a little stressed out, but they should be okay. They look for a place to hide. Frida finds 2 places that they can hide, but they pick the Bramble Dome that seems to block out most vision in and out of this place. It seems relatively safe. They look inside the satchel, but before they do, Frida reminds Imogen about looking into their mind. Imogen says they can absolutely do that at some point now as they're a little bit safer. As they open the satchel, FGG is slammed by a blue flash, a arcane trap. After the arcane trap is tripped, they reach inside and it's empty. They think you have to think of something to appear it, or for it to appear. FGG asks for Ludinus's notes, and they get a bunch of paper in their hands. Chetney takes it and claims to know what to do. He turns it upside down and a bunch of shit comes out. Papers, armor, a staff, coins, etc. Frida wonders if Ludinus would know if they have now touched it or opened this stuff. Chetney looks at the papers and they all seem to be blank. Chetney tries the dirt rub trick on it again. A investigation check, 22. There seems to be faint scratch marks on them. FGG casts command on the paper to show what it says, but it doesn't work. They start taking some of the gems that fell out and some of the coins. It looks to be some sort of bug out bag for reserves if they need it. There's also a polished piece of wood, which we're going to ignore what kind of jokes that can spawn. The armor is less an armor and more like a chest harness, and has some sort of volcano looking thing on it. Deanna casts Detect Magic on the armor and the paper. Well, she just cast Detect Magic in the area. The armor, magic. The paper is magic. The staff is magic. And the wooden piece is magic. Deanna can also now read what's on the paper. She's going to read it out loud, and Frida will be able to record it using their voice recording thing. FGG casts Identify on the staff. Chetney goes to the mouth of the dome to make sure that nothing comes in to see them. Luckily the staff has teleport, and maybe now they can teleport around. The first notes are about experimenting on divine magic and the nature of it, and it seems to be short notes for himself rather than for other people's eyes. There are also designs on some papers for the harness they have now. Unfortunately, Deanna doesn't know what the arcane glyphs are, but recreates them for everyone else who also don't know what it is. There's notes about energy that sustains the Wardens of the Wild here, and notes on Fae and Dryads and Fae entities and locations. And there's a note about feeding the root, and a bunch of these locations and entities are crossed out on the map. Fern thinks about what feeding the root means but doesn't know. Deanna tries to look over the notes to find some sort of path Ludinus took in writing them. With help, she rolls a natural 20. Most of the notes are batched with the harness, and it seems that the Fae entities and locations are somehow used to power said harness. And it seems the harness is, or has been used. They think this is how he got so powerful, or maybe extended his life. They're not sure which, but they think it's one of those two for sure. The last notes of this batch talk about expanding the restoration sources in the Feywild. Imogen asks if Nana knows of a place in the Feywild where there's no life there, as if something's been sucked from it. Fern says not that she's been told. Deanna sort of tries to think of historical events that might connect to what they're learning about this harness, but she can't think of any. They think about putting it on, but they're worried about it might suck themselves up, or something else. They don't know what. So they want to wait for FCG to identify it. But Fern wants to put it on now, but she is luckily talked out of it. They move to the next cluster of notes. These all talk about Ruidus, the study of its superstition and avoidance, and the fear the temples seem to have of it, and how they're pushing worshippers away from it. They say that there are scripts throughout history that inform us of evil, but not this. They're told to stay away. There's notes of the flares and of the Ruidus born, and wishes that he was born under it, and curses that he isn't. It talks about wanting to commune with it. The notes talk about forgotten gods, divine unraveling, and ancient primordial beings. He complains about the Emerald Cross priests interfering with his work, but he was able to connect to an alien-like dream within this moon. The third batch of notes talk about the arcane crystals that make the power well beneath the city. Aramed thinks that the well is a gift from the Archart and a gift from the Calamity. Others think that it's from the floating cities of Aeor before, the Age of Arcanum. Ludinus wanted to harness the power of the well for his personal endeavor. If he harnessed the crystals during the flare, he could communicate with Ruidus without the others knowing. Imogen thinks he wanted to control Ruidus. He's vain enough to try. They think he probably took the crystals, so it's not worth going back to look. FCG asks if they should take this stuff back to Urthadern and show the king and queen. Imogen wonders who they can trust to give this stuff to. They think about teleporting back to Urthadern. Frida suggests going to look for their friends. Imogen says maybe Jushar, but the distance might be a problem, as short-range communication works, so long-range doesn't, so maybe it's the same for this. Frida doesn't think they should give the notes to the leaders of Urthadern. Chenny says they should go to Rexentrum and tell the Cerberus Assembly and tell them about Ludinus and what he's doing, because they might not like what he's doing. Or they should go to Vasselheim and tell them the same information. FCG says the Vellum Steeple might be good with the information. They can use it. Imogen says Bo and her group, the Cobalt Soul, might be a good group to give this notes to, and maybe Caleb. They think he's part of the Cerberus Assembly. FCG says they have a network of people here in Urthadern, the king, the Vellum Steeple, the queen, so many people that they can give this stuff to. Chetney says that Vasselheim actually did something during the solstice, so they're the best bet. Fern suggests going to where Ludinus is from, which is right near Vasselheim in the same continent. Chetney says that they saved Urthadern and that the people there are kind of weak, so they should move up in the world and not go back down. Fern looks at Frida and asks if they are an Emerald Cross priest, as they are wearing emerald clothing. No one knows what the Emerald Cross priests are, but the art chart is something that catches their minds. It is a deity that looks over magical space and elven spaces, with the cross symbolism all over the place for the deity. Maybe there was a worshipper group in Malaeismere called the Cross Priest. Imogen suggests going to Jushar to meet up with the others. Chetney says they likely aren't there. FCG starts suggesting places they can go, name-dropping Whitestone as they have powerful allies there who are most likely not dead, unlike everyone else who was at the dig site who they think is probably possibly dead. Chetney says maybe they should start moving back to where this all went down. It moves them closer to the solution. Frida points out that teleporting tonight might lead to a fight, and everyone's battle-worn. Imogen wants to go into Frida's mind now. Deanna asks if they'll be alright. Imogen says yes. Deanna insight checks. Imogen isn't sure. Deanna guidances Frida. Before they start, Frida says they have something made for FCG, and just in case something bad happens and they're not normal when they come back out, they want to give it to them now. And it's 2 sweaters that say Aormaton on it inside a heart. And in real life, Christian grabs 2 sweaters that look like this, and both Sam and Christian start wearing them for the rest of the episode. They're actually kind of cool. I'm a big fan of those kind of sweaters, not the zippers. I hate zippers on sweaters, so I like those sweaters. Both FCG and Imogen cast detect thoughts and dive deep into the mind of Frida. They're drawn into a strange space that FCG has been into once before. It's like a waiting room. It's more organized and less chaotic like most normal people. Even FCG's mind is more chaotic than this. They see a being of light, Frida, in front of an archway door. Frida opens the door, and with a wisdom check of 14, all three of them are pulled into the door, and they're moving along like a lazy river. As they go, they see memories, like the moment they awake with Dee standing over them, their survival, walking through the city streets, fear as Frida looks for a connection. They see children, and it makes Frida feel safe. They see Deanna laughing and smiling. It's much like FCG's fresh existence. There's not much here. Frida starts to think of the names in the tower, and the child FCG saw when they first came here before to try to pull some more memories to the surface. As they focus on the children in their memories, they see flashes of a child that FCG saw. They see war, weapons, and people being cut down. They've had dreams like this rarely, but it can't be them. Frida looks down and sees the river blocking their lower half, but it is their spiritual form. Imogen and FCG want to push deeper. Imogen rolls a natural 20. Frida feels a bright pain in their head, like a headache. A white light comes from Frida, and a flash of white emerges, and once again they are in a war-like setting. It's not a battlefield, but a hallway. Bodies on the ground. Some people rush from a room, and the body falls bloodied, and Frida is standing before them. A warrior cutting through enemies in a strange structure. Frida doesn't know anyone that they see before them. Imogen looks at the enemies as they have brown and gold on them. She watches as a bit of combat happens, and Frida gets hit, but then takes the person who hit them out. FCG asks who's commanding Frida here. Frida says this feels right and keeps moving forward. As they go, Frida realizes that they are defending this place from the people, and the people that they are fighting with and the people they're fighting against are not that much different. Frida thinks they used to be friends with the enemy here. They turn around and see the interior of a beautiful structure, tall hallways with pipes along the ceiling. Frida turns back and walks past people. As they walk, they're confused. Frida keeps going until they see a cylindrical central room. There is something very large inside, a very large contraption, like they've never seen before. Crystals, glass tubes are here, and there's people here looking at it. They hear a strange voice, speak strange words. Imogen doesn't know it, but FCG and Frida do. It said protect the Factorum. They didn't see who said it. They feel, god damn, why was that hard to say? They feel and hear a humming sound. The ground shakes. The crystals all light up in the space. The space is getting ready to do something. They all take damage and are pushed from Frida's mind. Start to question what a Factorum is. Chetney says they have all heard of it. Malleus Factorum, the weapon to kill the gods. This wakes up a new memory of Dee finding Frida in ruin and repairing them. Chetney calls the Factorum the Creator Hammer, and thinking about it, the keys they saw before are very similar to the thing they saw in the dream. The crystals on the key are different from the crystals on the Factorum, however. FCG doesn't recognize the location, but they saw the clothing look familiar. Frida says there's likely pieces of the Factorum left in Aor. It's likely why there are soldiers up there right now. That's why Frida and Deanna went up to find where Frida came from. Frida feels an ominous feeling. There was no child in their memory. There was also no memory of the names from the tower, from Ludinus's notes. Chetney says at least Frida was protecting the place instead of attacking it, but Frida was protecting the weapon to kill the gods. Maybe it was to keep people's hands off it, who would have been wrong to have it. Frida says they killed a lot of people. Deanna goes to hug Frida, but Frida refuses it. Chetney says the protective qualities are something to be proud of and not to doubt themselves about. And hands Frida a toy of Frida, and in real life Travis gives Christian a wooden robot toy. I guess someone does want Voltron made of wood, Travis. Didn't have to stab Santa for that. Frida says they think they know something that Ludinus doesn't. They question where to go once more. FCG asks Deanna and Frida what they will do. Frida says they think that this is a fight they're a part of now. Frida says they'll help. FCG asks Deanna what she's going to do, but Deanna just walks away. They make camp here. Frida takes watch. Chetney checks on Deanna. Deanna feels like she's being left behind again and that Frida is going to leave them. Deanna doesn't think she has a place at the party. Chetney says that she's been a big help and they've would have been screwed without her many times. Mainly Fern this episode. She doesn't want anything bad to happen to Chetney. Chetney gives Deanna a wooden carving of the shell they drank from on the beach back in the day. But he never forgot about her. And she has a place with the group and with Chetney. He says he found the party and everything changed. Deanna asks if it's okay to hug Chetney, and they hug. Deanna asks if the werewolf form is only for fighting. Chetney says there's only one way to find out. Deanna runs out of the dome, and Chetney transforms into a wolf. Fern then runs after them as she was given the safe word by Deanna. Over the night, the remaining 3 in the dome hear many sounds. They're not sure if it is dangerous sounds or if it's their friends. And they rest up till morning. The fan art is going to be wild. I can already tell. Because I saw fan art. Quick comment before I continue. I saw fan art of the goddamn porno plan, which was fucked up. I didn't think that was gonna happen, but goddamn it, Rule 34 exists. People are gonna make whatever the hell they want. The party rests up until morning. Imogen asks if Fern and Deanna have been bitten. They didn't get bitten at all. Chetney has more control than that. They talk about where to teleport next. Frida and Deanna will be going with the party. They talk about Whitestone, Zephyra, and Jushar. They can't pick, so FGG asks the Changebringer between Jushar and Whitestone, as Zephyra to them is not a good option. FGG casts Commune. They're taken to a place with infinite paths. They see the Changebringer either miles away or super close up, but really small. They're not too sure. They ask if they should go to Jushar and have a chance to run into their old friends. They hear a voice in the wind say yes. FCG asks if their friends are alive. The voice says yes. FCG asks if they will know Frida and be with them for a long time. The wind picks up as the answer is challenging to write as the future has not happened yet. The Changebringer suddenly rushes FCG and says that a terrible fate looms over Exandria. An alien malice is above Marquette, and to show their faith, they should answer the call. The Changebringer says to stay on this road, as only shadow lay behind on other paths. The red end stirs in its slumber, do not let it wake. FCG is forced back into the real world. The rest of the party watch as sleepiness comes over Deanna. A white light in front of Deanna. She sees before her the Dawnfather. He commands her to strike against the enemies of the gods, and if she doesn't answer the call, she will be abandoned. She hears the burning behind him pick up, and he says that the red end stirs, do not let it wake. She wakes up and tells the others about this. Deanna says they're calling in favors, and they have to solve this problem. FGG says the Changebringer normally lets you make your own path, but at this time, it's do this or else sort of feeling. What about their friends? What about people that don't serve gods? FGG feels like the gods are desperate right now. FGG says the gods don't need to threaten them. FGG looks down at their coin, and their coin is now shinier. FGG identifies the coin, and it is now magical. Sam does not tell us what it does. Deanna goes over to Chetney and gives them a ring just in case the worst happens. Chetney says they'll be fine. Deanna says that her god threatened her, so she's not too sure. Imogen attunes to the staff. Deanna learns what the wooden rod does, and it is a focus for the Fey realm. So if they ever get the ability to travel between realms, they can use that to get there. Deanna gives it to Chetney, the plane shifting master. Chetney takes the bag of holding as well. The satchel they found. He says that he's used one of these before, back when he made furniture for the assembly. He made a bunch of deadly chairs that would kill people in a room and then move to the center of the room. That's why he left the furniture business. He was kicked out of the Rexentrum Toy Authority, and this is when the party learned that the tattoo on his shoulder, RTA, does not stand for Recognize the Alpha, but instead for Rexentrum toy authority, and that there are 6 other people with that same tattoo. He says he needed to rebrand it after he was kicked out. He says no one else needs to know. The party get ready to teleport. Imogen uses the staff and focuses on Shadana's home in Jushar, the place that Lana and Imogen stayed while they were there in Jushar. She focuses and takes some damage, and the staff glows bright. The party are pulled into the space. Laura rolls for the teleportation, and she immediately starts to laugh and covers her mouth, shocked. Matt laughs as well. This doesn't sound great, but they are actors, so we don't know, and that's where the episode ends. Crazy. Hopefully that roll went well. And this is not going to bode well, by the way. I can tell already. I could tell from the minute I watched that spot where she rolled the dice at the end and she covered her mouth in shock and Matt started laughing. If this is like some joke that the two of them are playing, it is going to play into the hands of people who are like, oh, see, it's scripted. How would she know to do that? Listen, guys, don't be stupid. It's not scripted. Anyway, moving on to the end portion. There you have it. That was episode 58 of Campaign 3 of Critical Role. I enjoyed this episode a lot. I liked the fights in it. I thought that the fight with the flesh monster was great. Matt's descriptions of the creature are awesome. I love that they found the satchel and it happened to be a bag of holding. So not only do they get something useful out of it, but they also get information they need for the main story. Big fan of that. I loved the Rexingtrum joke that the RTA is not a recognize the alpha tattoo. It is a union tattoo. I think that's hilarious. The funny that is to me one of like top 5 jokes right there. But my number one, I think this is my number one joke of all time in Critical Role now, was the deadly chairs moving into the center of the room. That has been one of my favorite running jokes, that they like question every chair they see now because of what happened in Campaign 2. And because I started in Campaign 2, that identifies with, or that like is really personal for me. So I fucking love that joke. I think that joke's hilarious. So yeah, I enjoyed this episode for a million reasons. I'm a big fan of it. It wasn't very filler-y. Last episode was kind of filler-y where they were moving between places. This one gave us a lot of good story stuff, a lot of information. We learned stuff about characters. And, you know, nice and fun. We also learned that Chetney can have sex in werewolf form. So, yeah. Anyway, that's episode 58. Yeah. Anyway, see you guys next time.